Picture this. It's 1944, deep in the Ardennes forest. The temperature has plummeted to a bone-chilling -25 degrees Celsius. An American GI, no older than 20, stares in horror as his fingers turn black from frostbite. He's freezing, he's scared, and he's thousands of miles from home, less than a mile away, huddled in a frozen ditch. A German teenager, just as young and just as terrified, is drinking muddy river water. Logic says that water should have killed him days ago. Yet both of these young men, on opposite sides of a brutal war, will see the sun rise tomorrow. Why, it wasn't because of superior rifles, bigger tanks, or overwhelming air support. It was because of 10 tiny, almost ridiculous tricks. Tricks so brutally effective that some were kept classified for decades after the war ended. These weren't fancy gadgets from a secret lab. They were pure, raw desperation forged into genius by teenagers who simply refused to die. One of their most powerful secrets was a simple, blood-red bar of carbolic soap. This wasn't for getting clean for a Saturday night dance. This soap was a weapon. It slaughtered bacteria on contact, turning any grimy puddle into a field hospital. A quick wash with this stuff could prevent infections that would otherwise lead to amputation or a slow, agonizing death. In a world without readily available antibiotics, this humble bar of soap was more valuable than penicillin. It was the first line of defense against an invisible enemy that killed more soldiers than bullets ever did. And it worked every single time. It was a small miracle in a world of nightmares, a testament to how the simplest things can hold the power of life and death. Now, imagine trying to stay warm when the world is an icebox, but lighting a fire means a sniper's bullet. The solution: an empty tin can and a candle stub. Soldiers would take an empty rations can, punch a few holes in the side for ventilation, and light a small piece of candle inside. It created a miniature smokeless stove. It wasn't much, but it was enough to warm frozen fingers, to heat a cup of muddy coffee, or just to provide a tiny flicker of light and hope in the crushing darkness. It was a portable fireplace that left no trace, a ghost fire that kept men from freezing solid in their foxholes. Food was scarce, and coffee was liquid gold. But you didn't just use it once. You'd take bread crusts, burn them to a charcoal black, and mix the bitter powder with the exhausted coffee grounds. The result was a foul-tasting brew that was mostly burnt bread, but it was hot, and it had caffeine. It was a kick in the pants that could keep a soldier awake and alert on watch when falling asleep meant certain death. It was a disgusting, brilliant hack that fueled the war effort one bitter cup at a time. Clean water was a luxury few could afford. Drinking from a contaminated stream was a death sentence, with diseases like dysentery and cholera lurking in every drop. But these soldiers had a secret weapon, a handful of stale rye bread. They discovered that the dense, porous structure of rye bread acted as a surprisingly effective natural filter. They'd crumble it into a cloth and pour the muddy water through it. The bread would trap a significant amount of the sediment and impurities, making the water much safer to drink. It wasn't a perfect system, but when the alternative was dying of thirst or disease, it was a lifesaver. This simple piece of bread, a food staple, became a portable water purification system. In the strange economy of war, some items became more valuable than money. Cigarettes were the ultimate currency. A single pack could buy you extra food, a warmer pair of socks, or crucial information. They were traded on a vast black market that operated just beneath the surface of military life. But they were also a comfort, a small ritual of normalcy in a world gone mad. A shared cigarette could forge a bond between strangers, a moment of peace in the middle of chaos. Soldiers would sew small, waterproof pouches into the linings of their jackets. Inside, they'd keep a needle, thread, and, crucially, a small tin of Vaseline and some cotton balls. The sewing kit could repair torn uniforms, preventing heat loss. But the Vaseline-soaked cotton was the real genius. A single ball could be fluffed up and used as a fire starter that laughed at rain and wind, and applying Vaseline to their feet created a waterproof barrier, preventing the dreaded trench foot that could cripple a man. It was a pocket-sized survival kit that battled the elements and won. Finally, let's talk about the ace up their sleeve, literally. A simple deck of playing cards. To the guards, it was just a way for prisoners to pass the time. But these weren't ordinary cards. They were made by the British intelligence agency, MI9. When soaked in water, the layers of the cards would peel apart to reveal hidden silk maps. These maps showed escape routes, safe houses, and contact points for the resistance. They were distributed to downed airmen and prisoners of war. Imagine the hope that must have sparked in a POW camp when a soldier discovered that his two of clubs was actually a key to freedom. Hundreds of airmen used these ingenious card maps to navigate their way back to Allied lines. These 10 tricks: carbolic soap, a tin can stove, burnt bread coffee, rye bread filters, cigarettes as currency, a secret sewing kit, Vaseline-soaked cotton, salt for preservation, bread buttons, and map-laden playing cards were more than just clever ideas. They were acts of defiance. They were proof that the human spirit, even when faced with the absolute worst of humanity, will find a way not just to endure, but to innovate, to adapt and to survive. And the most incredible part, every single one of them still works today. When the power goes out, when the world gets cold and uncertain again, these lessons from the past, forged in desperation by teenagers who refused to die, might just be what you need to see the next sunrise. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of human ingenuity.